So it's time to start. Good afternoon. Once I came by a song by Polytechno. It's about Vladimir Vladimirovich. And there is a phrase there, everybody knows everything, everybody understands everything. What else is there? I wonder, could there be any more questions? Why is there such a fuss about choice, if we have it or no? Some say that there is no choice, that we misunderstand this notion. We call something a choice, but it actually isn't. Choice is a weighing of thoughts, as you said yesterday. Then why all this fuss? There are different levels of awareness. At first, a person doesn't really bother about choice, he just lives like a child. Children don't think about choice, do they? But with time, a child faces certain contradictions in feelings. He feels one thing, and other people tell him that what he feels is wrong. They say, choose another state. So he faces the necessity to do something different, to make an inner choice. Sometimes social adaptation means showing artificial, virtual feelings. Inside you have one thing, but you have to demonstrate something different. So choosing starts. What do we choose? We choose a state. We go through different phases of this process until we come to realization that state can't be regulated. There is nothing to choose. Be yourself. So the steps of this process create contradictions and, as you say, a fuzz. So in the end, we are supposed to come to the absence of choice. You should come to understanding that car doesn't obey the steering wheel. The wheel that rules everything is not yours. And the moment of weighing, what is it? It's not weighing, it's better to call it sensing, being attentive to the wheel there. It's necessary to learn to perceive the higher plans on me. What do you mean by perceiving? Should understanding come at some moment? Yes, it depends on personal maturity. Mature person always listens, senses, so he can roughly predict what's going to happen. No, he is taking into consideration everything that is. Everything that is should be considered. He can't ignore things. When he ignored something in the past, he made wrong decisions. He misjudged. And he felt that the decision was wrong. It created inner conflict. Is it possible to take everything into consideration? Won't it be too much? You should learn to sense others. It comes with experience, the art of life. When you open to feelings even a little bit, it's like, it blows you up. Yes, it's not easy, but we have no choice. We have to feel everything. We shouldn't ignore things. Because when you ignore, you get punches. The stronger you ignore, the stronger the punches. Isn't it like intuition? Yes. Can it be in the form of pictures? For example, I see things to come. They come to me and afterwards I recognize them in life. It is already there. Before life-changing events, I can see them coming. All chain of events. And when I live them through, I recognize them. Can I influence it somehow? Can I widen its range? Can I see what is going to happen to others? Because now I can see only for myself. And how do you see? Do you have some screen? An extra screen in the top right corner? No, it just comes, let me find a word, like certain vibration. And then my mind interprets it in a form of a story. It's like that for everybody. When I want to plan something, I see images, and I imagine feelings which are supposed to be there. And then it happens exactly as I imagined. If intuition is developed, then yes. And how to develop it? The more experience, the stronger intuition. Experience develops it. I can't do anything about it. It happens by itself when it's something crucial. It's like a navigator. If you downloaded a new map, you would feel it. And how to download it? Live openly, there is no other way. When you're open to life, you feel everything. When you close, you don't feel. What do you mean by feeling everything? Just feel. When you look into my eyes, you don't just look. I'm not just a picture. You have a certain attitude. That is the feeling. So we are talking about our feelings. Attitude. You have a certain attitude towards me, some judgment, sympathy, antipathy. It happens automatically. You can't regulate it, you can only be aware of it. So it's basically being honest about your feelings. Yes, when you look at the wall, you have one feeling. When you look me in the eye, you have another, don't you? Oh, she checked. So that's it, no problem. It just appears. Awareness means being aware of what you feel, of your attitude. Awareness and attentiveness are sometimes confused. A man can be inattentive sometimes, but if he is up to something, he tunes in and he feels it well. Mature person sometimes may seem absent-minded, because he constantly is tuned on perceiving something inside. So he can ignore things outside. I saw a movie about Rostropovich, and there he goes out of the bathroom, he wipes himself and he drops the towel on the floor. He's all inside himself, thinking about something. And he leaves the towel on the floor, he's still wet and he goes somewhere. Something came to him. He is constantly in a state of strong concentration, but may seem absent-minded. What is he concentrated on? On some feeling. It is best developed in relationship with other people. You can't experience personal relationship in meditation. Only through socializing you can develop it. My question is also about feelings. If you feel another person, and the feeling is pretty intense, you also feel yourself, but less. Your response is less obvious, it is secondary. It is never secondary. Even when you feel another person, the feeling belongs to you. This movie is always about me. I can't completely feel another person. I gauge what he might feel. But it's me who gauges. You can always feel only yourself. Your attitude, your perception of another person. You can only feel yourself. But there is this choice. I can follow my own response, or I can behave in a way that is comfortable for another, doing something that I think another can digest. In particular, I'm talking about my mother. Just one of these days we talked on the phone, and I got a deep insight of a huge amount of fear and pain inside my mother. So her aggressive behavior, it seemed aggressive to me, was actually protective. She protected her pain. And I had chosen to protect her pain too. I was adjusting my behavior to it, so that my mother wouldn't feel worse. But I can't go on like that. I feel so depressed after such interaction. I feel exhausted. I feel that I betrayed myself again. I don't have any energy left for my child and husband. You see, it's a loop. Nothing should be ignored, including your feelings. But if I don't ignore myself, if I speak sincerely, it's a huge stress for my mother. Neither this nor that should be ignored. And how to do that? There is an act to it. That is what I'm talking about, the art of life. To learn to feel everything. But I highlight again and again, that is not that difficult if you are open. If you are open, it is not that hard. Try to feel another person. Most likely it is nothing special. The whole range of states is familiar to all of us. We all know envy, greed, anger, joy. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows the spectrum of emotions. But sometimes we don't tune in. This aloofness comes from pain. Somebody hurt you, and now this pain prevents you from feeling. And unless you overcome your pain, you feel distorted. You perceive everything in the light of this pain. If you have pain of humiliation inside, and you hear a slight comment about yourself, it is like a torment to you, a torment of humiliation. And another person just made a comment, it was just a remark, an observation, he saw something in you, and you perceive it in the light of your pain. So unless you work your pain through, you misinterpret everything. You reflect the reality like a distorted mirror. Your perception is a little distorted. Pain makes you avoidant. You avoid pain. When others were hurting you, figuratively speaking, you created a shield, but this shield makes you insensible. You can only feel through this shield. And when you are in a relationship, when you have a partner, you can't survive with this shield. That is what relationship is for. To spread open, to feel. It is like an agreement to feel and to share. You can't hide behind this shield anymore. Sooner or later your partner will tell you, "Hey, I can't reach you here, on the right. Widen the slot. Let's talk about it." So that's how it works. At the seminar, The Landscape of Me, we look into it. It is an attack-defense pattern. We get into avoidant state, we shut ourselves away, and then we communicate with the world by attacking it. We kind of try it, test it, but we're shut away from it. And when we want to open, we realize that we should be ready for pain. We shouldn't be afraid to get or inflict pain. There is no other way. Maturity is the kind of openness when you let the world hurt you and you let yourself hurt others. It is not a one-way thing. Both sides have this permission, because there is no choice. There is no choice. Another person can't treat you differently. Your mother can't perceive the world differently. That's the way she feels, and she shares her feeling. You tell her about her issues, and she may even be willing to change. But awareness only can't change things. Going into pain is required. That is why I choose not to tell her about her issues. So here we face the following. When you get hard on your mom, you break something inside of her. That is why she is so resentful. But what you should break is your relationship pattern. You should alter the position your mother is in, but not the mother herself. You should learn to make observations without blaming. truly without blaming. That's it. When a bough in a forest flicks me, I feel pain, but I can't blame this bough. But I blame a person who hurts me. I feel pain, and I blame him. Why? I think he can act differently. I ask him, why have you done this? You could have behaved differently. But you can't blame if you realize that nobody has a choice. It is like that thing with the bow. You feel pain in any case, but the blaming is not there. And that is a crucial difference. And I just don't see other way out. Recognition of absence of choice will free you. There is no other way. I don't see other way. And that is not just my idea. At every satsang I tell this, there is no choice. This recognition leads to a series of insights, which will spread you open. I don't see another way to become open. And is this shield always connected to other people? It is always connected to other people. A particular person inflicted pain upon you. And if it was not a particular person, but a particular situation? Give me an example. For example, I go to sleep, and at the moment I fall asleep, when the sleep is not deep yet, nightmares pour down on me. What kind of nightmares? It is like a flow, and it is sticky and painful, very painful. There is always some association, analogy with some facts of your life. Why do you consider this flow negative? Why does pain appear? By analogy with some past experience. And experience can only be relationship-wise. Somebody hurt you. That is why you consider these images threatening and nightmarish. I had them at a very young age, before people started hurting me. Believe me, you had been hurt a lot. You come here already beaten badly. You had been beaten before you got out of your mother. Yes, I started having this when I was about 1 year old. I don't want this to happen. How can I stop it? I don't want this pain. Do you want to live? Ability to feel is part of your package, and this means feeling both pain and joy. Do you want to feel joy? You do. Pain and joy come together as one pack. Does it mean I have the same amount of joy? No, you have more joy than pain. Being is more attractive to you. Being is important to you. That is your true nature. You can't avoid it. It will always be stronger than any situations or experiences. You are larger than any states and situations. And you know it somewhere inside. At some point you spread open. And you say, you want to hurt me. Go ahead. Yes, I couldn't sleep till 5 a.m. this morning. That's okay. Continue this fight for your happiness. So you shouldn't struggle. Just let it happen. If talking about your particular situation, you have some scenarios, images, stories. They are just concepts. Nobody is actually beating you. It is just a concept. You should sort these concepts out. No, there are no concepts. It is not something I imagine. It is real. I'm contracted to the point I can't breathe. A nightmare, you say. A feeling always comes with a certain image. Yes, they come on like a wind. They bind me. I can't breathe. My heart is pounding. I can neither fall asleep nor wake up. You have to go further. So the wind comes. What happens next? If it blows harder and harder, what happens? Pain happens, physical pain. What else is there? You have to reach the point you are afraid of. Fear of annihilation or helplessness may be there. You think, if the wind strengthens, I won't stand it. I won't be able to survive such pain. And you try to stop it. But you should go there. Get to the worst part. Otherwise, you stop at some point, and even the lightest wind makes you freeze. I try to go there. I'm speaking metaphorically. You should go further. When you go further and you see what is there, you realize, I can stand the blow. That's the state you get. So the point is to stand the blow. The point is to become fearless. As long as you have fear, you have to look into it. But you see, it all happens when I'm sleeping. I'm not in control there. Here you aren't in control as well. If you think you don't have control there, but have some control here, you're wrong. So fear is the only problem. We're afraid to be open, afraid to go inside ourselves. Pain, yes. We're afraid of pain. If you want to be totally free, you have to deal with pain. And pain is connected to guilt and so on. It is a big topic. At the seminar, we dedicate about 3 hours to it. How we get there, and so on. If you perceived yourself as absolute, all these issues would not be for you. What do I mean by absolute? It's when there is only you. Only absolute exists. And when it is so, there can be no relationship. Relationship can't happen when there is only one thing. But now you feel that it's not only you. Look around, there are many people around, and you don't know what's on their mind. May I ask a question? Can this self-investigation strengthen the feeling of I? There are different steps you go through. At first, you don't have this feeling of I. Then some image appears. It is mostly connected to the roles you play. When we get to know outside world, we do it through certain roles, social roles. And then we go inside. I mean that self-image is constantly changing. Sooner or later, you get into a state where you no longer understand who you are. You can't find yourself. And what do we call strengthening self-image? At some point, your outward self-image can strengthen. Then you go inside and see your inward self-perception. It becomes stronger as well. And then you discover yourself beyond names and forms. And this perception strengthens. For example, I had an experience. I didn't feel myself for 24 hours. And then perception of I came back, and I don't know what to do with it now. What was it? It was not there for a day. I was doing some breathing practices, and I just disappeared. You mean you were awake but didn't feel yourself? Yes, for 24 hours. I felt total freedom. Most likely you lost your usual self-perception. Yes, I lost my usual self-perception. Yes, but some self-perception was there. I'm not sure. I was unable to identify myself, and then this habitual I came back, and now I'm trying to figure out what it is. Where did it come from? What does it consist of? And how to lose it again? Because I felt so free without it. Body is the main source of self-perception, identification with the body. Yes, it is true. My body kind of melted away then. And after that comes self-image that we get from others. Other people tell you what kind of a person you are, and it gets stronger. this set of other people's impressions about you. I mean, I wouldn't know myself as a personality if other people weren't there. Personal relations create personality. Maybe you lost your identification with the body. You observed the body moving by itself, without identification. It is actually so. We just observe the body. Body is observed by consciousness. And when you realize that, you see, I am consciousness that perceives the body. I am not a body. It is not me. It is like clothes. Nobody perceives himself a coat that is taken off and put in a hanger at the end of the day. You don't consider yourself a coat, do you? But one thing is surprising. Such strong experience is supposed to lead to revolution in consciousness. But I got stuck with perceiving myself as Ira again. I came back, and it came back stronger and brought depression with it. Yes, other people appear around you anyway, and they need some image to communicate. You have to be someone for them, and it is always like that, especially when people address you, ask you about something. At one of the satsangs I told a story. After the samadhi, the continuity of awareness followed me into a dream. I mean, I was asleep, having a lucid dream. And I was sitting on the roadside where I practiced, and a man approached me, and he asked me the time. And I was in a state where there was no him, no time, everything was one. For me, it was not a man who approached me then. I couldn't find even a first word to answer him. I was sitting on the roadside, smiling. He asked again, but I really couldn't find the first word. Do you remember Nikulin? Do you have a cigarette? Are you deaf-mute? Yes. That was really like that. You can't even pronounce I. You can't say this word because you realize it is some crap. I is beyond expression. When we say I, we lose it. You realize that there is no time, so this man's concern about time doesn't really bother you. You realize that he's just got lost in something, but he's okay. He doesn't need the answer, really. You can easily dissociate from identification with the body and personality. Breathing practices can lead to it. Or drugs. Dissociation is easy to get. But this state is temporary. It goes away. Yes, it does. Because it's not natural. I read that they call it Sahaji Samadhi. No, Sahaji Samadhi and dissociation are different things. Samadhi is realization of who you really are, and natural continuous being in this. In this state you don't communicate at all. There is no need to communicate or to take care of the body. No need at all. Nothing needs changing. You see, in this state, you don't need to improve anything. You don't have even a slightest tendency inside. When in monastery, I was greatly impressed by one sutra. Buddha answered the questions. I don't really remember the name of this sutra. 4 firm beliefs, or something like that. He was asked different questions. For example, if he was sure in the truth of what he was saying. And his answer goes, I don't accept a slightest hint on its falseness. Even a hint is unacceptable to me. So you see, even the slightest hint is unacceptable to him. His vision is so clear that even a hint of doubt can't be there. There can be no reacting in that state. There is nothing to react to, because everything is harmonious and absolute. Here we don't have an analogy to that state. To get closer to it, you can imagine that you are totally healthy, dirty rich, you have it all. All teeth are cured, children are settled, you have it all. And now you can relax. Whatever happens, you understand that you are in control. Birds are singing, everything is beautiful. Yura, that's the state I had. I had it all, everything was complete, no lack, nothing needed improvement. You realize that everything is absolutely harmonious. Sometimes I give an example of a golden island, where everything is made of gold. Trees are golden, sand is golden, you are golden, birds, sky, clouds are golden. Gold is everywhere you look, you even spit gold. But at the same time it's very simple. There is nothing but gold. And what's the point of shifting these loads of gold? It's the same gold everywhere. You see, you are golden, and if someone else approaches you, you see he is golden too. If he wants to know the time, you just smile. What else to do? But in this state you just observe. You are aware, you feel all the time. You let the world through you. It is not just observation. Observation is a detached, passive participation. I observe if I have some interest. But in this state, you are that. It is not something you observe, you are what you observe. That is what awareness is, total feeling, feeling everything. Nothing is separate from me. There is no me that observes, I am everything. I am the whole picture. Nisarga Maharaj once said that the painter is the painting. Who painted the painting? The painter is the painting. The feeling of I hinders the painting. It grabs all attention. You struggle with it and it gets stronger. Well, you struggle with the remaining interests. It is still interesting to be yourself. If it was really boring to you, you wouldn't do it. You would leave. But now you say, I'm sitting here and struggling with the desire to leave. Then why are you sitting? Something here still gives you kicks. So, for some reason I need it. Yes, separate being is interesting to you. Maybe you like feeling special or something else. It needs deeper investigation. There are different aspects there. It is strange that after the experience of total freedom, the feeling of I is back. What is it for if you know a different thing? Yes, it puzzles, I agree. But it is not an impasse for you anymore. You see that something strange is happening, strange indeed. But it happens. And I'm not that, but it appeared. It is like a piece of shit on your golden island. But it is also golden. You see that it is shit. But it is golden. There is no contradiction. I feel contradiction. I don't want it. It means that you haven't seen the gold yet. After you see the gold, you won't nag at its form. But now you are malcontent, as you prefer a certain form of gold. This preference is the source of conflict. You are still looking at the form. A separate form is attractive to you. When you realize there is only gold, contradiction disappears. You will meet a lot of shades, very subtle motives in this process. According to classical yoga texts, Patanjali says that yoga is discontinuation of chitta movement. Chitta includes manas, ahankara, and buddhi. mind, doer, and higher mind. So even some wise and mindful things should be dropped if you want to go beyond chitta. Part of the way of liberation from chitta, you walk with the help of chitta. It helps you go beyond borders for some time. And then you find yourself in a different space, with a different self-perception. It is not chitta anymore. That is presence, the practice of presence. I talk about it a lot. Presence doesn't have colors or qualities. If you see some qualities there, you are still in chitta. Your way starts at simple mind, manas, that runs about and gives its comments on reality. It compares. Then comes the doer, ahankara. You have to live it through as well. And then buddhi, the higher mind. Manas goes away when your life is full of action. You understand, what is the point in thinking? I should act. Sooner or later, you give this level first priority. And then buddhi, higher mind, develops, and it gets higher priority. And from the place of buddhi, you start dealing with the doer. Doer won't drop himself, ever. Buddhi drops it. Because next destination is God, my true nature. Buddhi is a kind of frontier. It lies between me as a doer, my sense of individuality, and my true nature. My higher mind drags me there. At some point it tells me, "Hey lad, you are not in control here." Do you remember that scene in the revolver in the movie? He stands in the lift and he hears this voice. "Where can you get without me? You can't do without me," says this voice. It is pictured brilliantly there. I'm your best friend, we can't be apart. I'm always on your side. But in the end he gets this insight, yes, you are me, but I am not you. And he goes to another place. He sees who he really is. And from there he sees who ahankara is. And fight, resistance stops. You just put him where he belongs. He is just a feeling, an association, a set of concepts. But to dissociate with him, you should get into another place. Move there fully. And sometimes we are in a situation when ahankara has an idea about that place. He tries to imagine his higher self. That's the point of confusion about the reality of experience. We ask, what was this experience? Did I get beyond borders or no? When you really get into clear consciousness, you have no doubt. It's definite, unambiguous. This experience is unquestionable and final. Yes, it was definite in my case. Okay, let's check. There is one defining thing. Do you know the answer to the question, who am I? When I ask myself this question, I look at the feelings I got. For example, I feel fear, and I ask, who feels fear? I look at the one who is afraid. Who is it? I look there and I don't see anybody. The things you just told show that you didn't get the answer. The fact of asking this question again, who am I, tells that you don't have the answer. I ask it when I'm overwhelmed with emotions. It doesn't matter what you're overwhelmed with. Once you get the answer, you can't ask a question. This question can't appear. It's understood. Not understood. It is like something you see all the time. You see. It is a vision, not understanding. We have knowledge, understanding, realization, revelation. I talked about that. You have to get to revelation. Sometimes our realization is very strong. You can realize something again and again. But if revelation is not there, your self-identification stays the same. it won't move there. And if it is not completely there, in some time you can go back down and start asking yourself who you are. This question may bother you again. As soon as you get your revelation, the question is not for you and you can't worry anymore. I can't have the desire to enter samadhi again. This desire is impossible for me. Because I see that I am in consciousness, how can I have the desire to enter the place I am already in? You see, it's absurd. You can get very specific states on your way to revelation, but they don't count. I have read Adyashanti, The End of Your World. He wrote this book for people who had this experience, and he describes how you get pulled into everything again, and says that this process is inevitable. Yes, you will get pulled in if you have some interests or commitments left, but it's not a reason for panic anymore, and the question, who am I, doesn't appear anymore. Dreams, you see, don't evoke panic in you. You are not afraid of dreaming. You are not afraid to fall asleep. Let the dream be. It may be nightmarish or good, whatever. It is not important. I have seen both kinds. It doesn't make you panic, does it? You realize, I am here, and I'm going to watch something now. I'm okay, I'm in my bed. I'll watch something and I will wake up if it gets really nasty. It is not scary. You are not afraid to dream. And the same way you can look at this eye. It is here again, but you don't resist it or resent it. You don't feel cornered. You don't want to go back. Back where? There is no such destination. The essence of the revelation is understanding that you have never left home. And there is nothing but home. That's it. I didn't go out. I'm home. How can I get concerned? Oh, am I at home or no? You can see that you are home once. My question is more practical. You, maybe we need to take it in quotes, well, so-called Yura or Siddhartha achieved, quotes again, this, in the retreat setting. Please share some practical details. How to retain presence, self-attentiveness in the city. For example, you go along Arbat Street and see crowds of people. How to be in presence in such situation? How to stay focused on presence? Well, Misha, there is an act to it. It's like any other skill. I told you that achieving your goals here requires unidirectional attention. You have to sit. Start with the setting of insignificant distractions. Just sit with minimal distractions, minimal concerns, in unsocial space, in some quiet, comfortable, warm place, where even flies won't bother you. Then you start doing simple movements, then complex ones, then comes communication. What is the point of going to Arbat in the first place? So, it's no good without a retreat. I don't know. You can't dip into deep presence immediately, especially when the space around you is disturbing. But it is significant that, as you practice, you get to the point where distractions strengthen the presence. It will come. You will kind of put your presence to test in Arbat Street. You will stand near speakers and observe. Is it still on? Yes, it is. Aha! Hit me even harder. Is it on? Yes, it is. It is like Japanese power saw bench. Do you remember this anecdote? May I ask a question? Sometimes, rarely, a following thing happens spontaneously. My inner dialogue stops. For example, 2 weeks ago it happened in the underground, despite all the noise. People were around, and usually there is a whirlpool of thoughts in my head. But suddenly it became so quiet, and it was such a pleasure. Nothing was there, and I realized that I had such state when the first thought came. This first thought was, wow, I haven't been thinking for some time. There were no thoughts. What is this state? I don't do any special practices, but this state was surprisingly calm. Is it useful? Are there any methods to get it? It is presence. Can I achieve this state consciously? Because I feel that it is very good for me. That is what I'm talking about. Try and sit in practice. This is conscious way. This is being. You can't strengthen or lessen it. You are, and it is a fact. I am, this is a fact. And why do I get into this state spontaneously? When I'm in Shavasana or when I'm trying to meditate, I feel such a strong thought flow. The attempt to meditate is an obstacle. And here you are in a metro, it takes you somewhere, you don't have to do anything. As it takes you, you can just be. Sometimes I suggest doing the practice of steel frame. Before doing something, just freeze for 30 seconds at least. For example, you get into your car, you put the key in and just sit. Sit and let yourself be. Be, not go. Being and doing should be combined harmoniously. And we stress the doing part. And sometimes, during the retreat, people feel most free when I give them a break. When I say, we have a 10-minute break now, and they're like, phew. We've been meditating, lying in Shavasana. Oh, the break at last. Oof. A break from the retreat, from doing, because we're supposed to do something special. A break. We can just live. We can just be. Isn't that what meditation is about? Real meditation is doing absolutely nothing, not doing. Masters say, don't meditate, don't concentrate, don't think, don't. Stop all activities. But you don't know how to do this, how to achieve this state of not doing, because it would be an effort again. You would try to create the state of being, but you can't create it. You should just move your attention there, and that is it. No need to do it. It is already here. I am. That is a fact. And it's not something I do. I have been done. I was given the opportunity to be, and that's it. That is a fact. My being can't be stronger or disappear. You see, being can't be regulated. It is just a feeling of being, of I amness, and it doesn't have any colors. I tell you, we can enter this state spontaneously at the moments when the world doesn't ask us for anything. Nobody asks for anything. There are no borders, no requirements. Body is okay, everything is okay. That's when Ananda, bliss, happens by itself. Can we call it emptiness, as nothing is really there? No, it is not emptiness. Actually, emptiness doesn't exist. Stop talking about it. What is emptiness? What do you mean? Tell me. It's total absence. But somebody watches this total absence. And if someone watches, it is not emptiness. There is presence in any emptiness. There is presence, and whatever experiences you have, you can't deny this. You say, everything disappeared. But who saw it did? That's the question. Who witnessed everything disappear? Someone was there watching everything go into hell. You can't disappear. When you see the awareness, you realize it has no time, it never starts and never ends, it is not subject to time, it will be here in any case. And it's the only thing that exists. Now we simply sum it up. Do you exist? Yes. It means you're God. Relax. Can we call it unity? Absolutely. Is it total? Yes. But it is not your unity with the train you are in. It's a different thing. I had the feeling that everything was one. Me and the train and everything else. Yes, there is only one thing, the process of awareness, and that's where you feel total oneness and unity. It is not you becoming one with girls or trains. We usually try to experience this oneness through girls. Did you write that down? She wrote, I am, which means I am God, a reminder. Not to forget. Shall I sign this? No? Okay. You may have some doubts at some moment, you know? No, I won't. So that's final. There is no way back. He can have some doubts though. Let him. That's his thing. And can this presence turn into a very active state? So active that it makes you want to cry, dance and sing? It is not presence. So it's active joy, or what is it? Presence doesn't have characteristics. If you crave for something, it means that it's not it. And what about Mira, who danced in joy? You should ask her that. I can't tell whether she was in presence on her behalf. I don't know that. But I can say that everybody is in presence. Even if you crave for something badly, everybody craves for something. And where does it happen? In presence. You can run after something only if you are. And you think, now I will catch it and get what I wanted. And so you run. And at some moment you realize, I just am. Turns out I'm God. Oof. What was it all about? It's fun for him to run. Running gives kicks. Yes, it's fun. Fun, yes. Kicks rule everything here. It's the engine, the source of development. It's hot in the room now. My body feels hot. How to turn that into fun? Take off your shirt. There is a concept that you can't just take off your shirt. It's obsolete. You should try. Act. Take it off. Try it. And you'll get some impressions. Maybe that won't be fun. So you'll try something else. One of my latest videos is called Universal Kid. Kids poke their nose in everything. They want to taste everything. We're like these kids. We will never know rest until we taste everything. This tasting is life, isn't it? Yes, it is. We get joy from this. Yes, We sense something all the time, we sense life. And after death, what do you call death? When I don't have a body and I don't have eyes, I can't see. Your sensing doesn't depend on your body. You are aware of all your senses. Awareness is behind each sense organ. Awareness. You think you see with your eyes, but it is consciousness that is aware of everything. It is aware of the information that eyes get. Through which eyes do you see dreams? Tell me. Yeah. So that's the thing that stays. Yes, that will stay. That's the only thing that is. Being aware is the only process going on. So that's me. Yes, that is true me. Yes, you are the process of awareness and nothing else. You think that you are in the room, but it is the other way around. This room is situated inside of you. You are aware of this room. There is nothing but awareness. So it is beyond death, when the body disappears. Yes, you stop being aware of this particular body. You are not aware of this body anymore, but awareness as it is never goes away. It is never dead and never asleep. So it's the foundation. Yes. And these senses and feelings, you are aware of them. You are aware that you are awake. You are aware that you are asleep. You are aware that you see dreams, and you are aware of a dream without them. You are this awareness, and camera is always on. You just go from being awake to dreaming or to dreamless sleep. You see, oh, I'm awake. Oh, I'm asleep. But you are sitting here. And we shifted to the state of being awake. And we think that we see from that place, but it is not true. You are not there, you observe everything from here. How can I observe my fear from that place? Sit in presence. But when it happens, I'm asleep. Get enough sleep and sit. No, I can't. It happens by itself. Are you asleep all the time? The fear I'm talking about comes at this border between dream and reality. You have to sit in your normal state, when there is no fear. When I'm in my regular state, I'm not afraid. Your goal is not to fight fear, but to strengthen the presence. Direct your attention to it. Give maximum attention to presence. It reminds me of India. They have construction works everywhere. Satsangs can't be quiet. At one moment it's rickshaw passing by, at another moment it's a dog barking. It's impossible to conduct satsang properly. There are no quiet places, in Tiruvannamalai for sure. So it's a sort of training, yes. You do it more and more frequently, and the presence strengthens, it widens, and then your quality changes. You see, your self-identification changes. It moves to presence. But if you don't have this space, if you haven't created it, there is nowhere to move. Self-identification shift happens by itself. It is not something you do. You can't change your self-identification. It's like me telling you, stop believing that you're a woman. Do it right now, quickly. I count to 3, and you stop believing that you're a woman. You see, it doesn't happen. You can't just refuse your beliefs. But it happens when you create a new space where your awareness can move. You see, oh, this is what I am, and I thought I was that. But if you don't have this space, you will always be here, and you will always have some qualities. And you'll always try to grasp some image that you like. You chase it, and it runs away from you. And at some moment you get tired and give it up. You just are. And you sit. You stop this chase. And then it grows and grows, and you discover yourself. You discover your home, and you realize you were never out of it. You see, you have been running around the house. Your own experience. I was sitting and reading a book. What book? Pointers by Ramesh Balsekar. It is a book he wrote about his teacher, Nisarga Maharaj. Chapter 19 or 18, I don't remember exactly. Oh, chapter 18, but number 19. I may be confusing something, but it doesn't matter. Read both, to make sure. There are no particular actions or settings for it. Let's close that window. I think they will cut what they need soon, and then we will open it again. Sasha, close this one too. There is not enough air. We will have a break in half an hour, and we will air the room. So where were we? We were talking about Nisarga Maharaj, about the book. It is misleading to think that particular settings or actions are required. But anyway, you should try them. Some people go to power places, to India, or they look for a special person who will transmit this state to them. But it is a mistake. Why? Because you presuppose that you don't have this state right now, that it will happen after you move to a particular place in particular time. It's one of the mistakes. You will recognize it at some moment and you will drop it. You will realize that if this thing is present, it is present here and now. And if it is not present, it is not here and now. There is no need to go anywhere. No special settings are required. If it is present, it is supposed to be present here and now, and that's all. That's when you stop chasing exotic places and experiences, special masters and states. Frankly speaking, I had discontinued my retreats before I had this experience. I wasn't practicing, I was just sitting, reading a book, walking around. I clearly saw that my actions don't lead to it. There is no action that gives you this. And so you stand at the doorstep, waiting for the door to open. And that is the last thing you can do. Sooner or later, the force that took you to this doorstep takes you in, and you make a discovery. You thought that there was something behind the door. You thought that you were outside, but all this time you were actually inside. Can you imagine? You spent so much time waiting for the door to open, and it turns out you were already in. You were trying to get into the house you never left. You see, here everything transmits a message. You need to go somewhere. You need another state. And you go for it until you get to the doorstep. You stand there, and the door opened backwards. That's a surprise. Yura, and how shall I stand? Shall I maintain some state? Yes, presence. Can we draw such an analogy? I've heard it somewhere. A monkey wants an orange, and it thrusts its hand through the hole in the box. But the orange is too big for the hole, so the monkey can't get it out. I think that all people in this room, well, maybe not all, are like this monkey. To become free, we should stop trying to get something. But how can a monkey come to this? It's too complicated. From my experience, drawing an accurate analogy is impossible. We try to explain, oh, it's similar to this or that, but it is never 100% accurate. What you describe is close, but still not exactly it. But you mentioned that you had discontinued the retreat, and that only after that something happened. Yes, I let go the orange, but I didn't pull the hand out. Pulling the hand out is like losing all hope. You see, someone let go the orange. So, it's important to come to the emotional state of desperation. Yes, you yield. You let go. But don't pull the hand out. If you pull the hand out, you are done. You are out of the list. And you need to be enrolled. You need to have a badge. They say, there is nothing left. Wait for the next lot. So, keep the badge. I didn't get the joke. The next lot of what? Of that very thing. I still don't get it. It's like we're in a queue for enlightenment. That one got his, then this one. When is my turn? We're in a queue for our happiness and freedom. We thrust our hand in, and they say, we've run out of oranges. And you think, shall I pull it out? If I do, I definitely won't get it, but there is nothing to grab. So you hang with this empty hand waiting. Sooner or later, the discovery comes. So these tags are actually for nothing. But you can't be without them. You can't but wait. You yield. Thy will be done. But you expect thy to be favorable. Thy will be done, but please don't let me down. Remember me when you let people in. I kept my badge. And how to make sure that it is the right doorstep? Just sit. But what can I rely on? The presence. There is only one thing. Maintain the state of I amness. That is what you should do. Am I supposed to have some physical sensations? Yes. Silence, peace, bliss. But I reach a certain point and stay there. And I have this feeling inside. Anticipation is just about to happen. No, there are no thoughts. I can't actually describe it. That's the charm of practicing the presence. Whatever comes up, you ask one question. Who did it come to? Even if it is the anticipation of bliss, you ask a question. Who is anticipating? And you go back to unaffected state. That is the charm of this practice. The nature of distractions doesn't matter. You go back to the place you know. And sooner or later, this place lets you observe any kind of distraction. Whenever you get the buzz, you ask a question. Who gets the buzz? So, the buzz is not the door. No, it is a distraction. Unaffected state is the door. Yes, unaffected presence. With time, bliss increases there. But if it's too intense, you ask the question again, who is so blissful? And everything becomes silent again. Yes. You go back to the door. So the presence is a kind of reflection of bliss. Our nature is being, awareness and bliss. Out of these three, it's the bliss we chase. We try to get the bliss. We search it in delights and pleasures available here. Physical delights and personal delights. And physical pleasures are the ways to find this bliss. And we run until we realize we can't get it through these things. Pleasures and delights won't lead us to bliss. That's when we start dealing with awareness. We start thinking, meditating, inquiring, reading texts. That's how we deal with awareness. But here we also come to a point of understanding that it doesn't work. That's when we move to being. Being never goes away, it never changes, it is unaffected. The other ones are distorted. So I say, take the being. You try to get yours there, but it is complicated and leads you nowhere. Being is unquestionable and eternal and accessible, so hold on to it. When you get the desire to sort everything out, ask a question, who wants it? When you start craving for another delight, ask a question again, who wants this delight? As your being widens, other parts straighten, because they are interconnected. You experience pure awareness when these three things come together. You see, my being was always there, and I was always aware, and awareness is blissful. It is blissful by itself. And I was mistaken looking for my pleasures somewhere else. Awareness itself is blissful. In fact, right now the process of living is blissful for you. You don't pay attention to this particular kind of bliss. Just being is blissful. That's the basic kick. Awareness is the fundamental fun, fundamental kick. Sensing, feeling, being is fun. Huge fun. Huge fun. But you think, not pure being, but being something particular is fun. And that is your orange. You will try being different things. You will try different variants before you see that the initial bliss is not something you can chase and snatch. It is your natural quality. And then you let go, come to pure being, and get a complete set. When you see pure consciousness, you see that everybody is there and they are in their ecstasies right now. They think that they are ecstatic about something, but in fact, it's awareness of something that gives them ecstasy. I bought a new pair of shoes, but my delight doesn't come from them, because the same shoes can mean nothing to someone else. Even worse, they can be the reason for envy, for example. So, it's not the shoes. Yes, it is my awareness. It's how I perceive myself in these shoes. Oh, in these shoes, I'm a dandy. And then you want to feel like a dandy even without shoes, without outward reasons. I'm a dandy of myself. That's the state to go. And that's when you start undressing. And the guys, still in their shoes, take you to funny farm. They say, this kind of dandy is not appropriate here. In other words, it's a wonderful life. Yes, that's right. Conscious life is even more wonderful. Nothing is unconscious here. Who lives unconsciously? The word in itself holds a contradiction. Living means being in consciousness. How does that relate to body? We are aware of the body. We observe it as everything else. Can we be aware without a body? Yes. Awareness goes on even without a body. It is continuous. Camera is always on. Camera is always on. It needs proof, you know. It needs proof. What would be an argument for you? Tell me your criteria. I will grant it at once. A miracle. Here it is. Look. Life is a miracle, for sure. It is absolutely miraculous. Do you see the miracle? It's obvious. Buddha said that life is suffering. Buddha said lots of things. Buddha talked about 4 vehicles of his teaching. Which is the greater vehicle, Misha? Vajrayana. Read Diamond Sutra. Buddha couldn't be wrong. When he said that life is suffering, he addressed a suffering creature. When Gangatara came to him, which is described in Maharatnakuta Sutra, write it down. Yes, I will. How do you spell it? Maharatnakuta. So a woman came to him, Gangatara was her name, and he asked her where she had come from. And she answered that there was no point in asking a magically created creature that. And he said yes. A magically created creature doesn't have origins and destination. He asked her if that was her case. And they had a very interesting conversation. I advise you to read this sutra. There was no need to tell her that life was suffering. Their conversation was different. So, is it time for break? Let's go get some fresh air. We have an hour and a half ahead of us. So, a 10-minute break.